Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sports Guys Extra. This is for all of our streaming devices, including KSAT TV app, and we do it every week right here at the KSAT 12 Sports Department. And we have an actual guest in the sports department today. You know him as KSAT 12 news anchor Steve Spriester. He is here because Larry's on vacation, Andrew Seeley is off, and nobody else wanted to do it.
We voluntold him.
I was taking a nap and they woke me up to do this. So.
And Jake Kaburski is with us as well. So we're going to talk about a number of topics. The first of which is Kawhi Leonard. Officially, as we speak and as we shoot this, he is now an official member of the Los Angeles Lakers, taking less money.
Clippers.
What did I say, Lakers? Yeah. Clippers. He's a member of the Clippers. We thought he was going to go to the Lakers, but he turned down that deal to sign with the Clippers, returned to Southern California, leading Toronto to their first ever NBA championship. But he's actually taking less money. He's going to sign just a 3-year deal for $103 million in order to work his contract where he becomes a free agent the same time Paul George does. Okay. So they can actually be free agents together because they both have a player out, if you will, in their contract in their now third year. With Paul, it would be his fourth, but it would match up for 2021 and 22. Does this surprise you any way, shape, or form that Kawhi dissed the Lakers and went with the Clippers?
Well, this is kind of the destination that a lot of people predicted from the beginning.
From the beginning
Here's what surprises me about this whole thing. Think about how much money he left on the table if he would have just been a Spur.
$221 million to be a Spur.
$221 million to be a Spur. He left that behind to go back to Cali.
Left over $100 million.
Yeah.
Over $100 million.
I don't think his advisors are doing him any favors.
No,
that's my bottom line right now. If I'm Kawhi Leonard, there's going to come a time where I'm going to look at that number and realize what I left behind in San Antonio, money-wise and team-wise.
Because what if he gets hurt?
That's
$100 million plus he left on the table.
I think he was partially, it was just homesick. I mean, everybody talks about his personality. He's a homebody, didn't get out much, still drives his Tahoe or whatever. Maybe he really wanted to get back to Southern California and money wasn't the objective. He just wanted to get back home.
They have planes, just fly back, visit, come back,
And he's not flying Southwest.
You're not going to be visiting during the season anyway.
Exactly.
So you might as well just have a home in L.A.
Even Tony Parker realized that at his age, after just 1 year in Charlotte, he knew they weren't going to play for a championship anytime soon. What was he doing there? He should have just re-signed with the Spurs for the same amount of money, didn't have to buy an apartment or a condo in Charlotte, would have saved that money too. But even Tony Parker realized that at some point and said, I'm done, I'm retired.
Yeah, nothing shocks me about Kawhi anymore. I think I think he is not getting good advice.
I would have to agree with you. Are you surprised how much Oklahoma gave up to get Paul George to go to Los Angeles? In other words, were they on the rebuilding mode already and decided, what the heck, let's just go? And are you surprised the Lakers gave up that much? Clippers gave up that much to get him.
I think the Thunder thought last year was their year. They went all out. They had Paul George, had Steven Adams. They had the team that they thought they wanted and didn't get as far as they thought they were going to get. And so I think when this crossed the table, they were like, all right, we're in rebuilding mode now. And they're full in it.
I'd agree. It's time to flip the page and focus on the future, and that, I think, would mean jettison Russell.
Well, I was going to say, so the next step is to get rid of Russell Westbrook, and one of the few teams that can accommodate him would be Miami, and his 4 years left on his contract. Do you see him going there?
Gee, I don't know. Oklahoma City versus Miami.
Tough call.
I don't know.
Bricktown, South Beach.
Yeah, I mean, their version of the Riverwalk is nice, but it's not that nice.
No. Get on it. It stops. It's like a horseshoe.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually keep going.
Yeah.
That said, the Lakers still have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I'm just still shocked Kawhi just didn't fill in the blank there and create another dynasty team.
I don't think he wants to be second fiddle.
Really?
I think that's
so. Why would you leave the Spurs?
I think that's a good question. Right. I think it became personal between members of Kawhi's team and the Spurs.
Correct.
And I think that's why he left the Spurs. I think he was the number one guy in Toronto, liked all the attention he got in Toronto. I don't think he's ever had any intention of playing with
anybody higher
LeBron
up.
James.
Right.
I think he's done that. He played with Tim and Tony and Manu. He's been second, third, fourth fiddle. So, I think he wanted to go someplace where it would be his team.
So do you think the NBA is now more balanced as a result of what's happened? I'll go with you first, Jake.
I'd say so. I mean, where have you had two teams in one city that could legitimately, in the same conference, compete for an NBA championship. And I mean, that's basically the epicenter of NBA basketball right now. But you've got parity throughout the Western Conference. I mean, you've got Golden State and their big three. You've got LA. You've got the Clippers. The Western Conference is going to be deep as always. And then you've got a talented team in the Nets in the East and a lot of talent there. There's a lot of parity across the NBA. It's going to be really exciting. Very balanced in my opinion.
I think it brings more excitement back. It's not just who's going to knock off the Warriors, or if Kawhi stayed, who's going to knock off the Raptors. There's a lot more question marks out there, and I think it's going to make for a more exciting season.
So then who's the favorite to win the championship in 2020 as a result?
You know what? I'm probably going to be wrong, but I'm going out on a limb. I still think Golden State may be a better team without Kevin Durant. I mean,
people said that.
They were not healthy in the finals, and they still took Toronto to 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
I picked the Clippers on
picked the
Instant
Clippers.
Replay Sunday night, and I'm going to stick with the Clippers. I think they can do it.
I just don't think they have the support cast to do it right now, maybe in the near future. I don't think Golden State could do it right now. I still think the Spurs are in this. I know that sounds just like a hometown guy saying that. I still think they're in this, and it kind of depends on, and I don't want to touch on it too much because it'll date what we're talking about, but whatever happens with Marcus Morris actually kind of figures into that. So I want to keep the options open there because now he's reconsidering his deal with the Spurs to sign with the Knicks, and that could change by the time this airs.
I have probably a not popular belief on the Morris thing. I mean, whether he comes or goes,
right.
I think the Spurs are going to have an exciting team, and I think maybe it opens the door for a guy named Thomas Robinson, who's
was
played
very
great
well
in the summer league. At one time was a coveted free agent, trying to revamp his game. Does this open the door for him?
So even if they don't get Morris, or they don't, in this particular, sign him, then they have the door open to either sign another free agent or promote one from within. All right, we'll see how that works out. That all said, when it comes to the NBA this year, they're opening up a change. They're going to allow coaches now to challenge calls. It's only one per game. Right. They're not going to throw a flag on the floor like they do in the NFL. They're just going to call a timeout, and then you have to tell the referee by what they said in the release, twirling your finger. I'm assuming this means replay, which is what they do now with the players when they want the officials to look at the monitor for a replay.
Hopefully upset coaches use the right finger, not like
That would be nice.
Yeah.
That would be nice. Do you like this addition and having more responsibility for video replay as well when it comes to out-of-bounds plays, three-point calls, that sort of thing?
I do. I think.
I don't think it's going to slow the game
down?
down?
The NBA game goes so fast, and I will say at a certain point, the NBA doesn't seem to have a problem with long replays like the NFL does.
No, they seem to get it right pretty quick.
They seem to be quicker on the gun than the NFL is.
Or college.
So that's why I kind of feel that, I don't have a problem with giving the coaches.
But it's only one. I mean, and you got to pick your poison, because if you call the timeout and you don't get, your call that you wanted, you lose the timeout.
Well, it kind of adds some excitement and some unknown there. It's like, okay, do I want to wait and use this challenge now on a particular call? Do I want to wait later in the game? And
because the game could be on the line.
Exactly.
But inside of 2 minutes, the game goes to replay anyway. So you have to use that timeout before the final 2 minutes of the game, the final 2 minutes of the half. But you don't think this is going to slow the game down? Because I get irritated when that happens. Hey, we hired the referees. We're paying them to make judgment calls,
There's already so many timeouts and commercial breaks and things like that already slow the game down, especially at the end of the game. I think if it's at the cost of getting it right, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, now there's talk about shortening the season from 82 games, maybe down to 76 or less. Would you be in favor of that?
I would if it meant no back-to-back games. That's the biggest problem I have with the NBA right now is back-to-back games where you just don't
4 games
play
in 5 nights.
Yeah, it doesn't. You're not going to get the best product out there on
and
the
you're
court
going to
when
rest.
that
Coaches are going to rest players, so you're not going to see the best talent if you're a fan.
That's my caveat for that.
All right. But that said, do you still favor that? Because if you're an owner, you're going to lose money. Because that's fewer games to make more money to charge fans and parking and concessions and everything else. So as an owner, you're going to lose money.
You're going to lose money, and I think from a fan's perspective, unless you're a true, really, obsessed NBA fan, 82 games from October all the way into June, that's a long season. And so I think by maybe condensing the season, I think there's more action. Each regular season game is going to mean maybe a little bit more. And I think it'd be kind of cool.
All right,
Well, and I'm willing to take up a collection for the
For the owners to
if
get by,
to
tough
get
it out.
by with the.
Well, that's the problem they say with baseball. Too many games.
It's
and
too
that's
long
why
of a season.
It's too long of a season, and that's why you see a lot of stadiums that don't even have 10,000 people in them.
Yeah.
Do you favor shortening the same thing in Major League Baseball?
Yes.
Well, you think that will ever happen because
No,
the contracts that they
will
have that
never
are
happen.
open-ended, ridiculous amount of money to players who either play or don't play. Heck, I still go back to Barry Zito getting $172 million as a left-handed reliever. I still can't believe that.
Well,
contract.
when the major leagues expand to San Antonio, then I'll definitely want all those.
You want all of those games back. And finally, are Major League Baseball's juiced? There are a number of people out there who feel this is the case, including Justin Verlander, who believes he's never seen in a way these balls take off the bat and go out of the park the way they have lately.
This seems to be. I mean, this is not a new thing.
No,
I mean,
because it
this
was
is-
back with the cork bats.
Right.
as
Well, you had the cork bats, and then even you go back you go back years and years and years, decades. You had the dead ball, then you had the live ball, then you had the steroids. And it always seems like there's an
Some
evolution
controversy.
that happens with baseball.
But there's no controversy. The fact they are hitting more home runs this year than they ever have
absolutely.
before.
But I think in baseball, I think eventually when there's changes made to a ball or anything, it takes a while for hitters to adjust. But I think after a course of a couple of years, we saw this in college baseball when they deadened the bats. There's more offense in college baseball now because the hitters have adjusted and caught up. I don't think they're doing anything.
but also-
But they're
It's
also in much better shape than they've ever been.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Baseball players stay in shape year-round.
Right.
Just like football players do now.
Exactly.
And
I mean, that's,
when you
and
go to
that's
the
my
park
that's
as a
that's
fan,
my,
do you
the
wanna
NFL
see-
is a perfect and the NBA is a perfect. It's the game is changing
Right.
because of the athletes, and that's why I think it's happening with
Now,
baseball.
some of the guys are blaming it on the fact that Rawlings got bought out by another company, and that company is the one that's decided to kind of change the makeup of the baseball to create more excitement in the game and create the controversy. Do you buy into that? No. Okay. All right.
We got some conspiracy theorists out there.
All right. Well, even the commissioner says, what did he say about it's less
Drag on the
drag
ball.
on the ball? What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
What is less drag on the ball?
We
The
get
seam
into
smaller?
I think the seam maybe not
I mean,
as
they lose me when they get into drag and coefficients and stuff like that. I'm out.
liberal arts guy right here. All of us here. We don't do.
I hope we
geography.
solved some of your problems with sports today. Maybe we have, but thanks for joining us here. This is Sports Guys Extra. Join us today, Steve Spreeser, of course, KSAT 12 news anchor, Jake Kaburski, one of our sports reporters here, and also anchor. And thank you for being with us today. We're available on all the streaming devices of KSAT 12, including the KSAT 12 app. Thanks for being with us.